Hey, FMC family, and welcome to another episode of Believing Together podcast. My name is John Wayne McMahon. I'm here again with Susan Kent, and we have a special guest. Sarah Taya is joining us this week. I'm excited for you, if you don't know Sarah already, for you to get to know a little bit about her story and why we wanted to for her to join us this week. But just a reminder for all of those that are joining us, maybe you came across this on social media or received it in your email. This is a part of our Believing Together spiritual journey that we're on that is highlighting the future kind of vision that God has given FMC for the next several years, for really the next future in front of us. And so during the podcast, it's an opportunity for us to discuss some of the things that we talked about on Sunday, or how it kind of hits the ground. What does it look like when we start rolling this out into everyday life? And so, for example, this week we talked about activating our faith. And so today I hope we get to say, okay, here are some ways that might look like for FMC. And so, Susan, why don't you catch us up on our activating our faith, what we talked about, and introduce us to the passage.
Yeah. So this past Sunday we took the scripture from 2 Timothy, and I actually love this passage. You're the one that picked it. And I love it because it's a letter from the Apostle Paul to Timothy. And this is like at the end of Paul's life. And he knows that he does not have any more time to do what he'd been doing, like preaching gospel. And so he is trying to encourage Timothy. And my favorite part of it was really, I think it's verse 6. I'm going to look at it. It says, "For this reason I remind you to fan the flame of the gift of God." And what I loved about that, and we kind of talked about it on Sunday, is that, I always think of like that campfire. I'm not a camper, I'm a glamper. But I have seen someone put together a fire.
On YouTube.
Yeah, on YouTube. But you know how like when the wood, it's been blazing, but then everything settles down and it's just the wood that's just sort of warm and kind of glowing. But then if you like put another log in, or if you stir it, right, what happens? Like the flame comes up. And whenever I read that passage, that's what I think about. That I feel like Paul is saying, hey, you have it. Like, you have this gift of God. Now stir it. Like, let those flames go. And so anyway, I love that passage. I really think that that's kind of what it is to be a disciple, right? To kind of stir it up. Because sometimes we get kind of comfortable in our life. But when we stir that up, we get to be more effective.
It's a perfect visual, because you think about a campfire. It's really easy to be hanging around a campfire, and it starts to die. And I think that's what Paul's getting at. Maybe Timothy has even let it start to die, because he's gone through some difficult paths
and that's really
seasons.
Easy to do.
Yeah, really easy to do.
Yes.
Yeah. So, anyways, you're right. It was a great passage, I think a foundation that launches us into activating our faith to witness. Before you can witness, you've got to have it before you can give it away.
Right.
It's got to be fully alive. So, someone that I've seen it be fully alive in, or at least what I'd love to see is Sarah do the work in her family, on her own, as a member of the church, to fan that flame of faith. But we should have introduced you to everyone. So, Sarah, why don't you tell us, for those few people that might be watching that don't know who you are, tell us a little bit about yourself, your family, and how long you've been a part of FMC.
Okay, well, my name is Sarah Taya, like you said, and I've been coming here since I was 17. My mom, I came with her. I went to the Willis Methodist Church. I grew up there. I got confirmed there. I'm a cradle Methodist, as they call it. And then we started coming here because basically they had a bigger choir, and my mom wanted to sing in a bigger choir. So that's how I got connected here, and I've been here ever since. My husband grew up Mormon and left Mormon faith, and I kind of drug him along. It was kind of like a part of the deal package. I was like, this is my church, and I love my church. And
you were evangelizing.
Yes. Right. Which he has family here, and his grandparents were here, and they were still alive. So, but anyway, and then I have 3 kids, twins, Ethan and Zoe, and then my youngest one is Scout. So, awesome. And then I'm a nurse.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's about it. I think that's all about me.
Yeah.
That's enough.
That's all about
That's
you.
great.
Yeah.
Well, I love your faith. I love your prayer life. It's always been inspiring to me, and so I've seen even ways that you quietly witness to the faith that you have in Jesus is very clear to me, and so I'm grateful for you joining us in this conversation. And one of the reasons was you invited me into a story that I saw what it looked like to activate your faith, to try and be a witness to others, but in specific, this man that we'll call Mr. B today.
Okay.
And so I thought, Sarah, why don't you tell us about that story and what it was like to live the Christian life in the real world. So introduce us to Mr. B, how you got connected to him, and how he became connected to FMC.
So right now I'm currently a school nurse, but prior to that I worked in hospice. I worked in hospice for a little over a year, and he was one of my patients. But the kind of cool thing was he wasn't initially my patient, so usually, I'm trying not to drag this out, but whoever admits that patient, that usually is yours.
Yeah.
But the nurse who admitted him, she was leaving, and she came to me, she's like, I really think you would be a good fit for this gentleman. And then our bosses, they try to, set you up with people that they think would be good for this person. And I kind of knew a little bit about him, but not a whole lot, diagnosis and stuff. But she had brought up the fact that he was an atheist, and just kind of, I don't want to say warned me, but just braced me for what I might be walking into. So I always thought that was kind of cool, because initially he wasn't supposed to be mine.
Yeah.
But I truly...
The Lord?
Yeah, I absolutely believe that the Lord had a hand in all of that. And then so it's been about a year since he passed, which I'm grateful for that time, because I think it's taken me a full year to really process all the things, and then look back where I think God was preparing me even at a much younger age, up through events in my life and other events, and I never really made that connection until recently, which I'm so grateful for, because sometimes you just don't understand in the moment, why is this season hard? Why am I having to do this? And what is the purpose of this? And all the time I'm maybe thinking it's all about me and what God's trying to do for me, never realizing this will have a effect on another person.
Wow.
But ultimately he became my patient. He was very vocal about not being a believer. He didn't want to go down that road, which is fine. And I remember we had a brief conversation about that in the beginning, and I just told him very honestly, I was like, I'm not here to judge you. I'm not here to make you feel bad. I'm here to take care of you, and that's the truth. And I think his idea might have been just as a nurse, but in my heart I was like, I'm here to care for you, the way that God wants us to care for everybody. So over time, we just built a relationship on trust. I think he knew that he could trust me. I always try to be very authentic and real and honest. I never hid my faith from him, ever.
Right.
I never denied Jesus, or even though he could say some pretty ugly things sometimes, which is okay. I mean, I never took that personally.
Sure.
It's fine. But I'm so grateful. I think my most favorite moment with him is one day he was really angry, really upset, and just calling me every name you can imagine, which that's okay. But I had been waiting, because I was talking to God about it, and I was like, I know I'm supposed to be a disciple and minister to people. I don't really know what that looks like. I was like, but I'll just wait for you to tell me what to do. So one day he was just going to town on me. I don't know what he was so upset about, but he basically was he told me that I had to believe in God because I needed to. I needed to believe in Santa Claus. And I let him just kind of go off for a little bit, and then I was like, okay, well, this is it. I could just very clearly hear that this was the moment that I'd been waiting for. And then I don't know why, but I just said, I really need to tell you something. I let you speak, so if you'll let me speak, I would appreciate it. And he was willing. So I just got on my knees in the lowest position I could think of, not really thinking about it, just doing it. And I just cried like a baby, because it broke my heart, because he was in so much pain. And he didn't have what we have. There's no hope, there's no... And not to backtrack, but he was basically alone. He had run off all his friends, and I think intentionally, and I think he was trying to do that to me, but I'm very stubborn.
Right.
And I just told him, I was like, exactly what I believed. Like, I just professed my faith in front of him and why I believed what I believed, and I even said, I was like, I'm so sorry that I'm crying. Like, I don't like to be emotional in front of people. And he was like, no, because I can tell you're being real. Like, you're being honest with me. And that was a very sweet moment. But I told him, he said, I used to be like you. I used to believe, but I don't anymore. And he's like, I used to talk to God all the time. And I told him, I said, well, you still can. And, like, in my mind, I could really, like, see, like, this open door. And I just wanted it to be, like, that. And I told him, I was like, there's a doorway open for you. Jesus is waiting, and you can just walk through it at any time that you feel like it. So that was one of my favorite moments with him. And that lasted for about 5 minutes. And
Yeah.
I was like, you're so
back to
stupid and you're horrible. And,
Yeah.
and then he would cry and be like, but you're so nice. And it's like it just did not compute in his brain how I think he thought I was going to be like this condemning, judgmental,
Right.
either do this or you're going to burn, or I don't know what he thought I was going to be.
Right.
And it didn't turn out like that. It wasn't like that. But so fast forward.
Yeah.
He was getting closer and closer to the end, and I was driving in my car one day, and just so very clearly I could, like, so I'm a visual learner, I guess you could say.
Me too.
And I could just see, like, that I was supposed to bring him to church.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, well, I called my best friend because she's my person for things. And because I always
Gotta have one of those.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I'm like, please pray for me because this is what I'm thinking God's asking me to do. And I just really want him to say yes. I think that was the hardest part. It's like, I know what I want him to do, but it's ultimately his decision. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm just going to walk in there and ask him to come to church to me. And the worst thing that could happen is he will say no. And that's that. And so I did. And he said yes. And I will say, over time, as we got closer, he would confess things to me, very personal things. And I would always tell him, I love you, I'm praying for you. I would ask him if I could pray for him. Eventually we got to the point where he would let me pray for him, but he would say, I just don't want to hear what you're saying. And
You
then,
were his person.
Yeah, I'm glad. I mean, and he was my person too, because it had a very profound effect on my life and my faith.
Wow.
Which I never thought I'd say that about him, but it's true. And so after he said yes, I thought, well, maybe I should call my pastor because I'm about to show up with somebody who is very, and very visibly dying.
You could tell he was sick. Yeah.
I was like, this might freak out some people.
Yeah.
And I knew how he could be.
Yeah.
I was afraid he would come in and just be like,
and I had already met him at this point too, so I was like thinking about that too, and just like, okay, well, how is he this morning when you called me? Yeah.
He was, I think at the end there he was a little more open to it. I don't know so much about his family, but they certainly let me bring him, and so that's what I did.
Yeah.
And that was my first Sunday.
So, do you remember? Yeah, we
surprise.
Susan and I were about to co-teach. We were going to teach together. And it was your first Sunday teaching, like from the platform,
as a pastor.
As a pastor. And so I think you had visited or been there in the room, but this is your first time to like introduction.
On staff.
And so we were, and Sarah had shared with me, she really had this hope or prayer or vision that people would be able to pray with Mr. B. And so I'm up at the front with Susan. We're about to go on.
We're sitting on the front row.
Yeah.
Like they are singing.
Yeah.
It is like
it's like time to go. And Susan and I, we like didn't know each other that well. I mean, we've known each other, but we haven't worked together. Yeah. And so like even having a conversation on a Sunday morning, we're still trying to figure all the things out. And then I guess it was you or you sent somebody, but I think it was you.
I thought it was you.
Yeah.
Because there's a pretty blonde woman came and got you. Yeah. And I was like,
and I knew what was going on, but I wasn't sure if you. So, anyways, and then we got to pray with him, and it was just a really special.
Because then you came and got me. Yeah. It was really cool.
I just went and grabbed whoever.
What I love too is when I got back there, I was still kind of new at that point too. Like, I don't know everyone, and so there were people I didn't know that were already gathering around and praying. And I think there were people that didn't know anything that was going on that were praying. I just saw kind of this movement happen. And honestly, like a week later, I just remembered this. Somebody that I now know, but has always sat in the back row and be very quiet, came up to me and was like telling me some things that were happening spiritually in the room, even though he had no idea about the situation that was happening. Yeah. It was amazing.
Well, and I remember, so because it was my first Sunday on staff, so you left and then you came to get me, and I'm like, okay, go. But I remember making the turn to look up the center aisle to where he was, and the vision that got me is like, literally, he's in the wheelchair, and there are all these people around him. And personally, that was a little for me, like God saying, this is the church that I am. This is where I am. Yeah, it was awesome.
And I love that he got to come forward and go through Holy Communion.
Oh yeah, that surprised me because I just took
wasn't
him
sure
so
if
that
he
I
would do
couldn't
that.
leave him alone, and I told him, I said, I'm going to go take communion. I'm just going to bring you with me.
Right.
But he took it. I was stunned. I didn't expect that.
Yeah. And then so that's a year ago. He passes away not long after that.
He passed away a week ago. Yeah.
A week after
sorry.
that. And so it's taken this long, I know you've shared with me, just to even process that season and everything that's around it. But I know even more than we can share in a short version like this, but I know that there were hard moments, and there were times where it was confusing why God would have put you in this situation. Even if you believe God was a part of everything, there was probably times where you didn't understand why or to what end. And so how did you, what was it like to live in that space to somebody that might be saying, I want to witness to my faith, but I don't know what to do, and I don't have all the answers, and I don't know what to do next. And so how did you do it? And in that season, what was it like for you? Is it, what increased, what decreased? I mean, what I don't have a prescription for that answer, but I just want to see what comes to mind.
I prayed a lot, and I had my people. And because I felt like in my prayers, I do hear what the Lord is saying to me, but I want to make sure that it's correct and it's not my own personal desire. So that's where my people come in, and just listening, not only like reaching out to my people and asking them, but also just listening to the people around me, because sometimes they'll have a word that I didn't expect, and it's just an affirmation of what I needed to hear. But I prayed a lot, and I trusted a lot, and I would have to kind of remind myself that there's it's nothing that I'm doing. I mean, I don't want to say that I'm doing it. I'm caring for somebody, but ultimately God's going to do what God's going to do. And I would just remind myself of that. My mom gave me some really good advice, because in the beginning, I remember just being like, I don't want to fail. Like, I don't want to let the Lord down. And she was like, well, nowhere in the Bible does it say that you have to be successful. You just have to show up and try.
Mom, dropping a truth bomb. That's amazing.
Like, people in your life that can give you that wisdom and support you and affirm you, and just that changed my whole perspective, because that was literally the very first day that I met him, and I had spent 3 hours with him of just being berated, and I thought, why would you put me with this man? Because other than, I guess I have a lot of patience. I don't mind somebody yelling at me, or I don't know what it was, but I was like, this is going to be way harder than I thought. And that's what my mom told me. She's like, nowhere does it say you have to be successful.
That's good.
You just have to show up and be obedient. That's what she told me. She's like, you're going to be just fine.
Well, and I thought of like...
boom.
Also, I mean, I was teaching with the students last night. We were talking about John 4, the woman at the well, She runs into
I was
town.
listening to that last night.
Yeah, really?
Yes.
And she runs into town, tells all the people about Jesus, but then everything that they heard about Jesus from her is confirmed when they meet Jesus.
Right. Right.
And so it's even in that, it's Jesus that saves. It's Jesus that has to do the work through the power of the Spirit. And what popped in my mind, not that you were Jesus in the room. I think Jesus is in you, with you. But when you knelt, like with him, I really felt like that was a posture of intercessory, of doing what Christ it was already doing at his feet, just to be there and to mourn for some of his
humble. Because I think about it, I never thought about it then, but I think about it now. I was like, because that wasn't something that I thought, well, if he brings this up, then I will kneel down.
Yeah, that's right. You have
It was
a play sheet like a quarterback. You're like, okay.
And I will cry, and I will shed this little tear. It was just like, I was moved to that. And I look back now, and I think, oh, well, yeah, because instead of me standing over him and being like, well, you should just talk to God about this. But I felt it. I mean, it just broke my heart to see him in so much pain. And for a long time. And me wanting to be like, let me just tell you about this. Let me just tell you about this. But it wasn't the right time.
That's good.
Yeah, discerning and hearing and wanting to hear the Spirit.
Yes.
And then when the Spirit said yes now, you were obedient.
Patience.
That's incredible. Wow.
All right, so love this story. Not everyone is a hospice nurse or is put in situations like that, but I think everyone finds different opportunities. They're diverse. They're with family members. They're with estranged friendships. They're with coworkers, neighbors in the gas station. It just happens. But for some reason, we in our culture are so hesitant to push out of that comfort zone into an uncomfortable place to witness to our faith. And so I'm wondering for all three of us to toss that idea out. Why are we so hesitant? Like, why is that something that we in general struggle to do?
I would say fear is a big motivator. Nobody wants to be rejected. Nobody wants to be judged. I know when I brought him to church and I was like, what are people going to think about me? Because they're going to think this woman is a lunatic as I run around and grab people. Or maybe she's just doing this because she's like some attention-seeking person. Wow. And it's like, I think that, and I think the enemy counts on that. I was
about to say, the enemy
He wants me to be afraid of stepping out of my comfort zone to...
Right.
And like you said, it doesn't have to be some moment like a hospice moment where you walk into it, this is going to be a slam dunk, but even just talking to somebody, like just saying, how are you today, goes a long way with some people, and might just be what they needed in that moment. But listening, discerning, I think in time, if you're willing to step out, and I'm going to say you can, because I'm sitting here, and this is my worst nightmare, being on camera, but it gets easier. It's like, how do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice. Just be willing to take that leap of faith. And I think Jesus meets everybody where they're at. Right?
100%.
So he's going to meet me where I'm at, where you're at, wherever you're at. And I don't think it's just going to be like kick you in the deep end and sink or swim. Good luck. So I think in time you just listen and you discern and I ask a lot of questions, like, is that you? Are you wanting me to do this? And you will be affirmed. But whether it's by your person that you communicate with or just somebody around you, and just learning to trust and hear God's voice. And that just takes practice and time. Especially prayer, like learning to be quiet and listen. Or you'll feel it. I don't know, I just feel it sometimes.
There's a quote from Charles Richter, like the guy who did the Richter scale. And I can't remember exactly, but paraphrasing it says, you don't have to wait for something extraordinary. Like you don't have to wait until you have a person who's on their deathbed and this is it's the grocery store, it's the gas, it's all of that. You just the ordinary moments in time that you can share with Christ.
I agree. And he'll present them to you. I pray a lot. I ask God to just align my heart with his. And I feel like if I'm asking for that, like every day, on a regular basis, why wouldn't he want me to be aligned with him?
Right.
So that I like we work together. We're in corporation, like a community. I get to be a part of a community of God, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Right,
like,
right.
how cool is that?
Right.
So just align my heart so that I'm with you, so that I'll know what my purpose is.
Yeah.
And just go from there.
But a simple prayer, but such a powerful prayer. Just, may I be aligned with you. That's awesome.
Yeah, I was thinking, even just now, I think so much of witnessing, evangelism, like we've done a disservice to it, but so much of what's missing from that conversation is hearing from God and being aligned with God. We think it's about having a formula or a set of skills or a certain number of scriptures memorized or a 5-minute speech ready to go. And that's really rarely presents itself in our day is the opportunity to do any of that. And really, like, the bottom is, do we hear God guiding us? Because Jesus had a heart for Mr. B long before you did.
Right.
And desires for him to be renewed and made whole. So,
and the fact that his hand was at work way before I ever knew him or met him or considered being a hospice nurse, that it's really amazing.
It's amazing that even in our insecurity, we find a way to be like self-centered on it. You know, to make it about us.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about you or us. I'm just saying in general. And we're so worried about fear and all of that. We still put all the pressure on us, and it's just a crazy thing. So what I'm hearing is just more of God. I mean, more of God's presence in our church, in our families, in us individually. And that should send us out to activate it. We're not going to be able to formalize this. And so, man, that's really good. I didn't see this going exactly there. My mind is spinning. All right, so, but we've gone long. We've talked a lot here.
That's okay.
And it's been so good. No, don't be sorry at all. But I want to bring us to kind of the final question that's really where I was hoping we could kind of launch the end of this is, what is your prayer for FMC? I mean, I think we're already starting to dovetail there, but I would love to hear from both of y'all about what is your prayer when we're thinking about activating our faith and being a witness in the world. What's your prayer, your hope for our church?
I think it goes back to what I said. Like I would pray what I pray for myself. Just align our hearts with yours, so that you or we know what our purpose is when we go out into the world, and to give us courage and strength and a discerning brain, and learn to pray more and listen. Maybe be still, be quiet. That's a hard one for me. Like, I want to answer right now.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Me too. Me too.
But I would say align our hearts. Just align our hearts with yours. And I think you do that, everything else is coming.
It's going to work out.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, I love that. And what I appreciate, because I only knew like this much of your story, so to hear so much of it, it really touches my heart, because I've always said that I feel like God, brought me to a place to be a pastor because I want people to know that Jesus is with them in the car rider line, in the grocery store. Like I just don't think that a lot of people really embrace that. And so to hear your story and your prayer of alignment, I'm gonna say ditto. That's gonna be mine.
Yeah. No, I agree.
No, I really do, because I feel like a lot of times we look inward, we look into coming to church and worship and all of that. But everything about being a disciple is about going out.
Yeah, yeah.
Wherever you are, we just, so that's my prayer, that we turn our eyes and our hearts outward.
Right. Yeah, I think, and we've talked about this too, Susan and I, about discipleship is really misconstrued. Scriptural understanding of discipleship is about learning to breathe the same air as Jesus. And we have just a beautiful gift in the Spirit of God that has been given to us and trusted us. to really have the ability to walk with Jesus, to breathe the same air, to hang on the words that he might have and go in places that he wants us to go. So, yeah, that's my hope. We could talk about all kinds of like big ideas, but if what we just shared if we're not right there or not faithfully pursuing it, or desiring it is probably the best word, we'll probably miss a lot of other things. So that's my hope too. Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you. You're welcome. Thank
you. This has been a gift. Grateful. I know this was not like your favorite thing to do, but you've been a gift to us. I know you'll be a gift to many others.
Now you just want to come back every time, right?
Yeah. So 2 dates that we want to remind everyone about believing together. This coming Sunday, which is the 27th. The 27th, is at 5 o'clock. 5:30.
5 o'clock. 5 to 6:30.
5 to 6:30 is the Advanced Commitment event for Believing Together. We're just trying to get that reminder out to as many people as we can. It's open to everyone, but we really have encouraged some of our board and leaders of the church and folks that have kind of been helping to guide the conversation of Believing Together. If they're ready to make a commitment to our journey, then to come worship with us and to lead the way. That's going to be a part of celebrating with the congregation in the coming weeks what God's already doing. And so we do want to extend that invitation. If you're ready, come and join us 5 o'clock this Sunday on the 27th in the chapel. Right. The other one.
All right.
That's
Very
right.
good.
The other one, Susan remembers dates. I don't. Susan, tell us about our night of worship in the Woodlands Hills.
Yeah, it's November 9th. We're going to be at Founders Park. They have like an outdoor, so pray for good weather. I know it's going to be great. A little outdoor grass terrace area. We're going to have a great worship experience. So this is one of those things that you don't want to just come alone. You want to bring a friend, 2 friends, neighbors, all your neighbors. Come on. So that's going to be at 5:30, from 5:30 to 6:30. That's why you were getting it all confused.
Yes.
5:30 to 6:30 on November the 9th.
Yes.
Come, everyone.
And we'll be excited to be back with you each week for the rest of Believing Together with podcasts. We have other guests that are planned to join us as we talk about the different strategies of Believing Together. But thank you for listening to this conversation, and I pray that it may be a blessing to you and an encouragement that you might activate your faith and witness to those that are around you. God bless you, and we'll see you next time.